Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone, we're back again with Pocatello Business Podcast. We are with Cal Stoddard, President and CEO of Doctor CFO. He is a business consultant, business guru. This guy knows his stuff. He born and raised in Pocatello, got his his bachelor's at ISU, went on to Arizona State University, got his MBA over there, and is continually helping doctors succeed throughout, I'm guessing all of Idaho and probably other states as well, correct?
Yeah, we're actually all over the country. We have a place.
There you go.
Obviously more in Pocatello because that's where we are.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah, Cal, before we get into the nitty gritty, I got to take a little sponsorship time out because the Pocatello Business Podcast is sponsored by Dell's Outdoor Advertising. And you guys hear me over and over again saying, call Rob. I'm telling you, top of mind awareness is key. Get a billboard up. It's going to help you. You might not see a return on investment just immediately, but I promise you it does. I've got billboards up right now. I foresee the return on investment already. The key to billboards, make a quick 6 to 8 word message, have a trackable phone number on it so you can track that lead, and then you will succeed. So, and then don't have a picture that's earth tones because you can't see it. Anyways, call Rob, 208-232-6886. You sign up for 3 months, you get your first month for free or your installation for free. So, Cal, back to you. Cal, tell us about you, your family, your hobbies. Introduce yourself a little bit more and introduce anything I left out.
I'm married to Stacy. We've been married for over 28 years. We have 5 kids. Our oldest is 27. Our youngest is 16. And we have one in high school still. She's a junior. They play a lot of tennis. And so that's kind of a family sport that we love to do. As far as hobbies goes, myself, some people may not know, but I was a music major before I decided to go into accounting. So my real love is writing music. I'm not like the best player, but I love writing music and enjoy that. More recently, I've got into like writing, little short stories and books. So I wouldn't consider myself the best at it, but I enjoy it. Maybe one of these days I'll be okay at it. And then, and also we chased my youngest daughter around, the Rocky Mountains with her tennis tournaments. And then about a year ago or so, we bought some electric mountain bikes over there at Barry's. And those things just been so fun. Really? I'm really sad it's getting cold because I can't anymore. But I've been rather addicted to that because you can just go so far and it's so fun and it's enjoyable. Whereas on a regular mountain bike, it's just not very fun. So, but this is pretty fun. I know people think it's a cheater bike. I don't really care. I think at my age, I can afford to have a little fun. So we really enjoy that all over the place.
That's awesome. Yeah. That reminds me of
We've read a lot too.
Oh, you what?
We've read quite a bit too, but that's how you get better. So
I like it.
Yeah.
Your mountain bike story reminds me of something my brother shared with me a while back. He used to be big into mountain biking, and he said it was one time he was up on City Creek just huffing and puffing going up this mountainside, and lo and behold, so he looks back and this gal just goes storming past him, just running, and it was lo and behold, it was Stacy Dragila. So, he felt like a putz that he was struggling on his bike, and she was just flying past him on his on running. So. There's your story for the day of mountain biking.
There's some amazing people. I think people don't realize just how fast those e-bikes go because we've been behind some really, really good riders, and they think we're not going to catch them or pass them. And then when they see like my wife going past them, just like blowing past them, they're like, "What the heck's going on?" And then they realize it's an e-bike. Kind of shocked, because they're just so fun. I don't know how to say it. It's, especially in Pocatello, it's just amazing all the trails we have.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we live in a mountain biking mecca over here, so it's
yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, Carl, walk us through it. How did you get started with Doctor CFO, and how did you see the need that you needed to fill to get going with that?
Yeah. So in accounting, just like medical, there's a lot of different specialties. Some people can do tax, some people do more finance, it just you just kind of get in a specialty and work on that. So I kind of started more on the IT side of accounting. So financial systems and implementing financial systems and doing that. And then at one point in time, I thought, I might want to get my accounting skills a little bit sharper. So I decided to switch more back into the accounting side. And within the accounting side, there's maybe one side that focuses more on taxes and compliance and audits and stuff. And then there's another side that focuses on financial analysis and planning and forecasting, that kind of stuff. And so I did that for a company down in Phoenix for a while, and then got a job. It was AMI at the time. And I basically was forecasting and planning for the whole operation. And they had this thing that they called it the flash. And so every week I had to compile all the data and forecast what was going to happen for that month, for the quarter, for the year. And we'd have an executive meeting. And so that was in the business, they call that FP&A, or financial planning and analysis. And so you're working with the financial systems, you're pulling data, you're doing modeling. And I just thought one time, well, this might be kind of fun to do with doctors and dentists. And of course, I have a brother who's a dentist and a brother who's a doctor. And so I kind of started with them, and it kind of just took on a life of its own, to the point where I had to make a choice of whether to stay or leave on. And of course I left. And so, but it's been really fun. You always think you got it, and you're always learning something new, and somebody throws something at you that surprisingly you hadn't heard before. They have a twist on it you haven't heard before. And so that's kind of how we got into it. Subsequently we started doing accounting and payroll. That really is just to help us with the modeling. That's the purpose of that. That really is just to help us with the modeling. But the main thing is to have a way to bring their accounting system, their what they call their production system, or they got their PM system, to bring that together so that you can kind of model what's going on. And so we're not just looking at like, oh, what's my expenses, what's my profit. We're looking at like patient information. We're looking at procedure information. We're modeling bill charges and adjustments. And it just tells me a lot about what's going on in the practice to see if there's a pain point or an opportunity. And, like any good consultant, you kind of sometimes, my main thing is finance, but every now and then we kind of we might talk marketing a little bit. We might talk, something that's maybe just kind of a tangent to it, just because I want the businesses to succeed. And so generally speaking, I don't like somebody, like if I have, like, for example, if I have a dermatologist in Pocatello, I'm not going to take another one in Pocatello. I just really can't, so I'll take one out, Idaho Falls or I don't even know if I do Blackfoot, but Idaho Falls, Boise, I've got some in LA, just because we're like really into, yeah.
And that you're competing against yourself.
In a way, there's a conflict of interest, and they know that we know so much about their business that they just feel uncomfortable with us, somebody else. And I don't blame them. I would too, so.
Yeah, I agree. Well, good. So you've been doing this for how many years now with Doctor CFO?
We started, I believe, in 2009. So about 11 years now.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. So what are you seeing the biggest thing that people are struggling with? Well, I guess for yours it'd be doctors. What are the biggest mistakes you're seeing that what's going on within these practices or businesses?
Yeah, I would say right now there's like with this COVID thing. Okay, and I don't know if it's really mistakes, but I would say some of the biggest challenges that we're seeing right now are like staff. Okay, so we're having a lot of turnover with staff. Some are really like freaked out with this COVID thing. Oh, I got to wear, you're wearing a mask, don't wear a mask. And so they're freaked out and like, hey, maybe they have a family member that's a little bit sick or they're sensitive to being sick and make them sick. Others are frankly using as an excuse to not work and hoping to get unemployment. So during this downturn when people couldn't work, and then we went back and they maybe couldn't work quite as hard as they used to. We're seeing some people like, hey, I just don't want to really work that hard anymore. but I want to be paid the same. And seeing a degree of laziness and turnover that we haven't seen before, and it's really hard to deal with because they're still paying unemployment. And I think it's true in every business. Finding people who want to work hard without going to unemployment, that's a challenge right now, you know. And related to that, maybe you're seeing people be a little bit more unethical than normal too, because they're justifying maybe stealing or doing different things. So those are some of the challenges we've seen as far as financially, the practices that stayed open. Okay, so I was telling my clients, stay open, do your best to stay open. They said, we got to shut down. I'm like, well, do your best to stay open. Okay, so those that stayed open are doing really, really well financially. When you include the PPP monies, they're doing fantastic.
Yeah.
But those that didn't stay open, which is fortunately none of mine, they're struggling right now. So
that's surprising that any doctor's office would consider closing, because they're the pinnacle of essential, you'd imagine.
Well, yeah, but they were saying they couldn't do routine things. Like in the case of dentists, some of the dentists, the state was saying, hey, if you're open, because it's in the mouth, if you're open, we're going to punish you. The insurance companies say we're not going to honor the malpractice insurance.
Oh wow!
If you stay open, because they're like, pay the premium, but we're not going to honor it. It's kind of two-faced.
Yeah, that is.
And so those are some of the challenges we're seeing. I would say in another group challenge that we're seeing, some of the patients maybe on the lower financial end, the Medicare, maybe more the Medicaids, they're just not wanting to come to appointments and maybe even bring their kids to appointments. So that's another challenge that we've seen. And people think, well, it's not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. Maybe for some people it's not, but there's going to be a certain percentage where if they don't go in and see the doctor for whatever it is, a tooth or something else, they're going to have a more serious problem. So I'm kind of predicting that there's going to be a lot more serious problems occur in the next 6 to 12 months, or even 3 to 12 months than before, because they didn't get the routine medical care. And yeah, not all of them are going to be emergencies, but some of them will be. Yeah. We're kind of predicting that as well. And that's, nobody wants a patient to have to go through an unnecessary expense and medical thing just because they didn't come in, whether they were too scared to come in or they were too lazy to come in, or, whatever, or the place was closed. So, my advice to not just the medical businesses, but all businesses, just fight to stay open, and find a way to open. That would be my recommendation. So.
No, that's good.
Creative to find a way to stay open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, same with our business. When all this hit, like it was tough to find good people to work, because we're on the front lines helping sterilize things and trying to keep people open as well. But yeah, it was tough. Like you would see plenty of, because we track, that's something we do, and I would recommend for everyone, tracking how many people apply for your job, how many people sign up for an interview, because everything we do is automatic. So we track from applicant to who signs up for an interview and who shows up for an interview, and then who we hire out of those who show. We track all that so we can see, just like you do, you forecast and say, okay, well, this isn't working. Yeah. Where's it breaking down? And that's what we do. And man, our percentages just plummeted for sign-ups to shows, and then even from showing up to the interview to being hired, or because we couldn't get a hold of them for their last interview process. So we were figuring, okay, maybe they're just trying to show, and we're trying to be as sensitive as we can for people, because we understand there's all sorts of situations going on. I think there's a lot of stuff going on where they're coming to the interview and then claiming it as, hey, I tried to find a job. And then they go back to the appointment and say, hey, I tried to get a job, even though they didn't show up for their last interview, and would have probably gotten a job if they would have shown that they were part of our core value match. But yeah, we saw that a lot. So what we had to end up spending with Indeed and Facebook to get just enough to fill our funnel to keep our business running, where our hiring costs went through the roof. So just to keep things running.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I was trying to hire a position before COVID, and I was surprised how many people just didn't show up to the interview. I was just dumbfounded by that. That's just the world we live in, is that people, I don't know, it's a fascinating I don't even have I was raised to work, so I just can't quite get it. You show up to stuff, so I don't get that. Yeah.
Yep. And, and not to get too much on the unemployment benefits and stuff, I was just thinking yesterday and I was talking to my parents, there needs to be a better step off system from that. Instead of saying, okay, you made $500 more this month, you're completely cut off. Why isn't there like a step off system that says, okay, you don't get this anymore, but you're still getting help here, and help people improve, let people want to become better and want to make more money without just, slapping them in the face as soon as they start, doing so. So anyways, I'm not in leadership, so I can't make those calls. So.
Well, it's kind of a tough problem to solve because you want to help people, but sometimes, unfortunately, the best way to help people is to not help them, and you create a dependency that just, I don't know, if there's not a safety net, then people get smart pretty fast. Yeah. And I think that, not that we don't want a safety net, but sometimes the safety net is rolled out to too much and too many people, and it's not really helping the people that really super need a safety net. And it's, I had a situation that so I learned this lesson, and maybe not quite related to what we're talking about, but I have a son, and he has a hearing loss, significant hearing loss in his right ear, partial in his left ear. Okay, so I thought, and I was worried how he was going to pay for college. So we went down, and he has a relative that has a disability, supposedly. Okay. And so, the relative may not necessarily dress super awesome, so I think that plays into getting benefits. And my son looks fine. And so we go down to the Social Security office, fills all the paperwork, and they didn't give him the disability. And I got to say, I was pretty upset because, this kid actually has a disability. How's he going to pay for college? Well, I was upset that next summer he goes and sells pest control for my brother in Atlanta, and he did really well. And the next summer he did even better, and the next summer better, and this last summer even better. So he's doing really well, and he believes in himself. I am so grateful that he did not get that disability money, because it would have created a disability in him. So, so I'm really grateful he didn't get it. And so people that get it, you might actually be hurting yourself. If you have kids getting it, they might be hurting themselves. Yeah. And I know that's tough to swallow at the moment, but I know for myself, I'm really grateful he didn't get it, because he would have not been who he is. And so I count my stars that didn't work out,
That's a cool perspective for sure. So yeah. That is interesting, and it's funny that some employees, when you hire them, they can't seem to manage to do the job correctly, even though you've trained them, you've taught them how. But as soon as something goes haywire and something's affecting maybe some of their benefits, they couldn't do their job well, but they are now fully trained as an attorney. They know all the different labor laws. They know all that kind of stuff, even though you're not trying to, beguile anyone. It's just like they completely go on the defensive, and they're like, well, I got to do this. You got to do this. I'm like, of course, like, if you're going to leave us, we're not going to not pay you your last paycheck. We're not going to, I don't understand who these people have worked for in the past, but if you work for a reputable company, you're going to be taken care of. So it's just the mindset of people.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, when it comes with people and money, they're pretty smart. I remember this. Okay, this is a funny story. I had a boss, and he was talking about like paying people, and he had this idea, and his name was Dwayne. I go, Dwayne, just so you know, when you're dealing with people and money, they become automatic geniuses. Once you talk about their money, they're a genius really fast. And if you think they're not, they are. And I said to him, I go, for example, we were doing some kind of allowance thing in the house, and I remember my younger boy, he was like 4 at the time, and he kind of goes like this. He says, and puts his hand down, like, come sit on the couch by me. And he just wanted to make sure that if he did his work, he wasn't going to be punished if his brother didn't do his work. And he's 4 years old, and he's already figured it out. So when it comes to money and it's personal, you've created a genius, whether you want to or not, and they become immediately smart, which I think is a good thing. It's just, people are smart when it comes to themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So I'm very aware. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like
trick
that.
people.
I like that. Let's
Yeah.
switch gears just a little bit as we come to a closing here, because I want the doctors and medical professionals out there listening, maybe get a little more out of this as well too. But maybe maybe one or two things that you would tell people that aren't using your services, maybe a little free advice to say, hey, these are two things that are very common that we're seeing that are maybe not being done, or something that will help you become more successful, and then also, this will lead them to you, hopefully. So.
Okay. Yeah, I say a couple things. Okay, so number one is all of the medical and dental professionals, they all have an office manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all know what the dentist's job is. We all know what the doctor's job is. We know what the medical assistant's job is. We know what the nurse's job is. Every job we know what the builder's job is. But for some reason, the office manager job is like an unknown. It's like what every doctor has their own version of what the office manager should be doing. And so several years ago, we put together a poster. We offer it for free, and we outlined 6 things that every office manager should do.
Perfect.
Okay, and we put them in order. And so the first one is that they should be protecting the owner. Okay. The second thing is that they should lead the marketing effort. That doesn't mean they have to do it, but they have to lead it. The third thing is that they need to lead the collections effort. Again, they don't necessarily have to do it, but they're in charge of seeing it's done, and that the collections are coming in.
Okay.
They need to manage the staff. They need to manage. And then the 6th thing is they need to manage compliance. There's certifications and other things that have to be done. And so we would say that the office manager needs to be more of a people person than a numbers person. You can hire the accounting, you can hire that, but the people aspect of the job is very, very important. And so that's a poster we offer. I would say that's something I just see people kind of mess up on that position, and they want the office manager to be all of it. And, and you're going to pay this position anywhere from $40,000 to $80,000, depending on if it's dental or medical. And so what are you going to get for that? And so you have to be really, really specific on what you want that position to be, because if you want everything, well, that's kind of what a doctor is, right? And they're going to want lots of money. So you have to kind of taper it down to, just kind of like you're doing, you have to taper it down to the essential things. I would say that's probably the first thing I would suggest. The second thing is when doctors are looking at their year and they say, okay, well, how much revenue am I going to bring in this year? It's a very, very simple formula. Okay. So you take the number of days you're going to work, the number of billable days, you multiply it by how many patients you see in a day, and then you multiply that by your average patient charge. Now, I've seen people kind of confuse themselves as to what that number is, but that tells you what your revenue is going to be. And then you can kind of stratify your expenses to meet your revenue, what your profit's going to be. I'd say that's like the first level of planning, is just looking how many billable days. Sure. And then, people that are going to say like, okay, well, I'm going to work, 250 days this year. I'm like, no, you're not, because last year they worked 190 and they think they're going to work more. And I'm like, it's going to be really hard for you to jump from 190 to even 200, because there's a reason why you worked 190, you know? And so, and then looking at how many patients you bring in a day, and that includes unbillable patients as well, and then what your average patient charge. I think that's kind of the starting of our planning. And then we have a tool that we're launching, the Virtual Practice CFO, that it's very affordable. It has those elements built into it, and it will help a doctor or dentist plan really, really super intelligently about what's going on in their office and give them a lot of insights. And as we build it out, it's going to be a pretty amazing dashboard for them to manage their business from a not just from a annual point of view, but from a daily, monthly, quarterly point of view. And so that's something that we're building out now. So
I like it. That's awesome. I love that six step chart to your office manager. That's brilliant to do something like that and hand that out for free. That's great. Well, cool.
Yeah, it's good.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, the one thing that's kind of funny, we spent so many hours on that poster. I don't even want to know how many hours. I bet it was at least 100 hours on that poster, because we wanted it to be really like an aid that, somebody can print out, have by them, and then the doctor can say, okay, office manager, you're responsible for these 6 things.
Yep.
And we have what's number 1 now used to be number 6. And my brother, who's a dentist that's been involved with a lot of different things, he's like, no, that has to be number 1.
Yeah.
And so, but I really, really like that. And so we just feel like that if there was a Bible for an office manager, that's it, you know.
I like it a lot. I actually offer something on my website for free as well. It's called 10 Bad Ideas for Hiring Your Next Cleaning Company. And they're humorous because that's part of our core values. We like to have some fun, but it does help people understand what they need to be looking for and what they shouldn't be looking for when they hire their next cleaning company. So I like that. I like that kind of option and offers to help people, see that and give them some information for free. And hopefully they come back around to start using some of your services, son.
Yes.
Well, perfect, Carl. I appreciate you coming on the show. But before we end, I've got to end up with one sponsorship, and then we have one more question for you, and then we'll roll out the red carpet for you. So Pack and Go also sponsors Pocatello Business Podcast. I'm telling you guys to make it super easy. They're about ready to drop off my pod from all the furniture and stuff they've been storing from a remodel we've been doing. They make it easy. They drop off a pod, you load it, they tie it down, and they have a professional driver load it back up and store it for you or move it to your next location. It's easy, guys. Super easy. And that's how I am. I like things easy and I like it to be taken care of well. So give Darren a call, 208-339-2229. And you sign up for a 3-month rental, you'll get the first month for free. So Carl, back to you. We'd like to ask this question to everyone. What is your favorite local restaurant to eat at?
Favorite local restaurant? That's a good answer. That's a good one. Okay, that's a tough one. I'm not a big super eater-outer, and being an accounting person, I might be a little bit on the frugal side of things.
Right. We're good.
But yeah, I got to think about that for a second. You know what? We put ourselves over at what's that place called? That sports bar and grill on Yellowstone, and I just forgot the name for a second.
Press Box?
Yeah, the Press Box. We'd probably go there. If I was to pick one place, we'd go there probably. And then we like going to Jerry Jumbo's for breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
They have a really
yeah. Those are two institutions Pocatello you mentioned. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. Well, Carl, appreciate you coming on the show. We definitely want to have you on again later on. Was there anything I didn't ask?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Was there anything I didn't ask?
No, I really appreciate being on, and thanks for the invitation.
Okay. So for all the doctors and practitioners out there, they're thinking, man, Carl, this is a bright dude. I need to look him up. I need to give him a call, see what he can do for me. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, probably our best place is our website, www.drcfo.com. So that's like David, Robert, Charles, Fox, Frank, Oscar.com. And then you can email me at Carl with a C at drcfo.com. And then my phone number is 208-226-4901.
Perfect.
So any of those, way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. Well, you hear it, guys. Give this guy a call, you practitioners out there, and improve your practices and make yourself more profitable. That's what this podcast is all about, providing profits for Pocatello people. So, Carl, again, thank you. And until next time, everyone, we'll see you next time on the Pocatello Business Podcast.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.